Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange and the host who might be a mysterious elk woman. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual literature that I have found in my travels. So today I wanted to talk about a specific book that I read that focuses on mysterious elk women, Native Americans, indigenous people, and slowly and methodically being picked off, killed in a bid for revenge. I am talking about The Only Good Indians, a novel by Stephen Graham Jones. If you recall, during one of my Short Story Tuesday videos, I talked about his horror anthology called After the People Lights Have Gone Off, which was magnificent. I had a few complaints about it that'll pop up here too, but I thought it was pretty good. Go watch that video if you haven't already. I really enjoy Stephen Graham Jones's work. It has a different feel to it. He writes horror in a way that I've never encountered before. Maybe that's just because I'm not well read in horror, but it could also be like there's genuinely something different with how he writes. This is a new book, so as I talk about it, I will try to be as spoiler free as possible. So I don't spoil it for anyone who may be curious, who might be just be searching for this book on YouTube to see if anyone likes it and wants to give it a check out. Otherwise, I picked this up from the library, which was a pretty big surprise because we have a small library in our town, and it's a very conservative town. So I'm always surprised when they have like I wouldn't say he's a very niche author. Like he has like dozens of books to his name. He's very prolific. It's just I've never heard of him. He's not mainstream in the biggest sense of the word. But I suppose like he has won a lot of awards. So maybe I'm just like I'm nitpicking here, but so I was just surprised that they had this, and I had to check it out right away. And I was like, okay, well, after I get done with my Lord of the Rings series, I'll be able to get to this book, and I'm very happy that I did. Don't forget to patronize your local libraries too. They always have great books for you to find, lovely books that will change your life or make it significantly better for a short period of time. So I want to talk about this book, a little summary without going to spoiler territory, and then a little bit of analysis, which might include some spoilers, would definitely include some spoilers. So I'll put the timestamp right up there, so you can go to that timestamp if you just want to get to the analysis, and that way you know that's when the spoilers might pop up. The story starts by focusing on a character named Ricky Boss Ribs at a bar. Ricky is Blackfeet, and he's away from the reservation at this time and maybe trying to escape in some ways. So he's at a bar, and he goes outside to go pee for some reason. The bathrooms are all occupied, and while he's peeing, a mysterious elk comes out of nowhere and just starts hitting all the cars, and so Ricky is swiping at the elk with the stick, and that leads to him hitting the cars, and the big old trucker dudes and the angry white men who don't like Native Americans come up and are like, "What are you doing?" And so they chase him down. They eventually catch him and are able to kill him, but not before Ricky sees the elk creature again as he dies. So that, which was a surprise. I thought the story was going to focus on him, but then it jumps to Lewis Clarke, who it's indicated that he's also Blackfeet, and his name is kind of a joke played on him, based on Meriwether Lewis and Lewis and Clarke. So that's a character that's focused on. Too. He works at the post office, very timely. He lives with his soon-to-be wife in their new house that they managed to get on the cheap because it's right next to the railroad. Lewis comes home one day and he discovers that his dog has been killed in a way that's been trampled, that he feels was done by an elk of some sort, which would be weird because they're nowhere near where elks can be. Like at the same time, he's hanging out more with one of his coworkers named Shaney. Shaney is very flirty, plays him in basketball, and kicks his butt. And his wife is not very happy about that. And at this time, like, he also begins seeing like elk. Like this mysterious elk woman, and he doesn't really know what's going on. And at first he tells Shaney about a hunt that took place, the Thanksgiving Classic, that took place about 10 years ago, where him and Ricky and a guy named Cassidy, a guy named Gabe, like, they went hunting in a forbidden section that was reserved for tribe elders, and they ended up killing a whole bunch of deer that they weren't meant to, and that's where he ends his story there. He later finishes the story with PETA after, like, talking with him and addressing the trauma that he's feeling regarding the dead dog that he loved, mysteriously showing up. And so like, he tells PETA that the last deer that he killed was a calf deer, possibly by accident. But he killed the deer and he discovered that it was pregnant. It was too young to be pregnant, but also, like, it wasn't. And so, like, he made a promise to that deer that he would make sure that none of its meat went bad, like every part of it was put to use in some way. However, Ricky and company, they're all caught by the game warden, who pretty much says, like, drop all the meat in this ravine, and you can go by free. Otherwise, you lose your hunting privileges forever, something like that. And so they agree to do it, but Lewis decides that he wants to keep the meat to make sure that none of it goes bad, and he ends up giving it to some of the elders, but he sticks a raccoon sticker on it, and he pretty much feels like no one's going to eat it because of that raccoon sticker on it. And 10 years later, he's wondering if the last person who he gave the meat to, like, died, and so it's just rotting away in the freezer now, where nobody can get to it. And that might explain the mysterious elk woman that he's seeing. And so he develops a plan because he starts to think that it might be either PETA or Shaney who is the mysterious elk woman trying to, like, manipulate him and make him go strange or something like that. And so, like, he ends up showing Shaney his motorcycle, and she gets killed in the process because her hair gets tangled up, and, like, she ends up dying. And like, her neck breaks. And then PETA, like, she comes home, finds him covered in blood, and, like, she's up on top of the stairs, or the ladder that Lewis had set up to figure out where the mysterious elk woman was, of all things. And she ends up falling off the ladder and dying as well. A newspaper clipping reveals that Lewis went on the run with the dead calf in his arms, and before he was shot by a sort of vigilante group who was trying to get justice for Shaney and PETA. And so that's the end of Lewis's tale. And then the next part of the story is the second half, part 2, which is the second half of the story is called the Sweat Lodge Massacre, and I'll let you figure out what that means. But it basically involves Cassidy and Gabe trying to hold a sweat lodge event for one of their friends, and also coming into conflict with the mysterious elk woman. And I will not say anything further about that. I will let you read from there. But remember that in the analysis section, I might talk about a few spoilers here and there. When talking about the only good Indians, I think the first thing that I noted was the title. It refers to a quote often attributed to Theodore Roosevelt: "The only good Indians are dead Indians." And I feel like that's an appropriate title because there are a lot of dead Indians in this story. Not only the ones who are killed by the mysterious elk woman, but also the ones who die by suicide or just accidents. Life on the reservation often leads to a lot of tragedy for Native American men in particular, which I think Stephen Graham Jones wanted to draw attention to, and maybe also how life on the reservation wasn't that easy, and there's a lot of Native Americans indigenous people who have had a rough life, and I know that's not the case for all tribes, but the picture he paints of the reservation, the Blackfeet reservation, in this story is a very downward one, where like everyone wants to leave, and like there's one character who can leave, who might have the opportunity to leave, and the mysterious elk woman is standing in her way. So I did grasp the meaning of the title and its importance there. One thing I really enjoyed about this was the great writing. Stephen Graham Jones, at least in the books I've read so far, which is this one and After the People Lights Have Gone Off, I noted that his writing was a bit confusing at times, and that's it here too. Like, he often likes to go the long way around, with rather just, instead of telling you it, like, he's as vague as possible until he gets really specific, and it can be hard to read at times. But when he gets going, like, absolutely amazing. Just wonderful prose. Like, the creepy parts are really creepy. There's a lot of gruesome parts that are like, ew, that's disgusting, but it's still really good writing, and it keeps you enthralled and wanting to learn more. Especially how, like, in the beginning of the book, it's kind of a little boring, but his writing does pick up really quickly, and I do have to give him credit, and that's one of the better things about this book. I also really love the ending. At least one part about the ending. The ending takes place with Denora, who is Gabriel's daughter, so Gabe's daughter from the earlier story. She is a basketball whiz. Like, she's pretty much going to be able to leave the reservation and become like a superstar if everything goes right for her. However, the mysterious elk woman has set about killing everybody who has wronged her, specifically the 4 main people, and also Denora, because she is Gabriel's calf. So, like, because the elk woman's child, I am saying elk, woman, like, her child died, like, Gabriel's child has got to die. Even though the elk woman promised Gabriel that if he killed himself, she would not go after her child, which made me very angry. Grr. But I really like the ending because the elk woman disguises herself as Shani, who, like, Denora vaguely knows. And she's like, I'm challenging you to a basketball thing, which, like, Denora's like, you haven't played basketball in forever, so how do you expect to beat me, someone who's kind of a prodigy? And so they end up kind of facing off, and once they get to like 16, 17, like they're playing to 21, like it slowly becomes apparent that to Denora, like she could already sense that something was off, but it becomes apparent to her that Shani is not who she says she is, and in fact might actually be like some strange demon creature she doesn't quite understand. And like the elk woman is like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, like it's gonna happen. And she's like, well, let's play basketball. And it has a very like fiddling, deal with the devil kind of vibe to it. That doesn't hold on for long, but it's a really interesting part of the story. And I do think it might be worth the price of admission alone. Like that's like a really good part of the book, and like it's really worth getting to, I feel. Hopefully, like maybe it'll justify subsequent rereads down the road. That said, I do think the story is very stupid, which makes me feel really bad to say, because I like the idea of it. I don't like the execution. One, I don't understand what the ultimate meaning is, because the message that Stephen Graham Jones is sending is kind of muddled. For example, like, is he talking about the plight of the Native American reservation? Because he kind of touches on that, but he doesn't fully go forward with that. Is he talking about how it's hard for some people to leave the reservation? Is he trying to tell a story of revenge? Or is he trying to, like, say how nature eventually gets back at those who wrong it? Maybe he's trying to do all of those at once, and it just makes the story come off a little weird and a little out of focus, and everything's kind of muddled. And it, like, if there was just like one misstep, it wouldn't be a problem. But it shows up throughout the whole story. Like, I'm not really sure what he's trying to say about these characters, what the message is that he's trying to get across. Also, this is a horror story, and like I feel like in horror, like, you're supposed to justify in some sense that the characters in your story deserve to die in some way, whether they be stupid teenagers, or they killed a voodoo woman of some sort, or they're bratty little kids who get a curse placed on them. You have to justify why these people are being killed. And the Stephen Graham Jones's justification is that one of the characters killed a pregnant deer 10 years ago, and now that deer is coming back for revenge. But, like, why? Like, why does that deer have to come back for revenge? Deer die all the time. Apparently this is some common theme, because in the acknowledgments, like, he talks about other stories about elk women seeking revenge. And it's just like, why is this a popular trope? Like, is this a thing in Native American culture? Maybe I can understand that. But I don't fully understand it. Like, I don't know why Gabe and Cassidy have to die. Like, maybe because they're the ones who did the killing. But why do their children have to die? Like, and why do the people not even related to them have to die? It seems like the elk woman is out for revenge, but she's doing a very poor job at seeking revenge, because she's killing people unrelated to the original problem. And I feel like that's a weakness in this story that just holds it back. That I'm just like, it kept making me say, really that's where we're going? I didn't like it personally. So overall, if I had to recommend this, I would say, based on the writing and the basketball, like, deal with the devil, like, play for your soul type deal, like, that makes the story worth reading. Like, wonderful writing. Like, not everything about the story makes sense, but it might make sense to you. We're totally different, and maybe I'm just dense and I didn't capture what it is that Stephen Graham Jones wanted me to capture. So yeah, I think I'd recommend it. Go seek it out if you can. Go buy it if you can. Always good to support authors and whatnot. Otherwise, don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought of this story, or if you think that something I said was a little bit wonky. I would love to hear from you and have a discussion about that. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that other people may find out about this wonderful little booktube channel about weird and strange literature, focusing on mysterious elk women. I'm pretty sure I've said that a dozen times by now. So yeah, if that interests you, like, share, and subscribe. that'll be fun. And until then, I bid you the best of times and your weird travels. Farewell.